Do you want to improve your English? And do you want to speak English fluently? So welcome to Jules T channel, and we have a special guest here today. So I would like to introduce you my friend here, Seng Chuan. He's someone I got to know from Toastmasters about more than 15 years ago, and he was our club president of the Bayan Baru Toastmasters Club. Actually, it's in Penang, Malaysia, and he was very active in Toastmasters, where he participated and won multiple competitions in Toastmasters. And when I met him many years ago, he shared with me this story about how he managed to learn English, from someone who don't speak English as his first language, how he managed to improve his language by himself. So I would like to share today, want to learn from him today how he managed to overcome those challenges to reach to where he is today. So Seng Chuan, so tell me about yourself. What is your first language and the language you're most comfortable with when you were young?
Hi Julie, hi everybody. My name is Seng Chuan. Just like Julie has mentioned, I was the president for Bayan Baru Toastmasters. So where I could, just to tell everybody a little bit about me, when I grew up, we grew up in a traditional Penangite Hokkien family, right? Where my first language is Hokkien. And we learned it from our parents, from our grandparents, and the elderlies who speaks very traditional Hokkien. And then I was sent to the Chinese school where we picked up the Mandarin. From there on, most of my friends and the surroundings, they all speak Mandarin and Hokkien, right? So that is the kind of environment where I was brought up with. And until I think standard 3, we start to encounter English and start learning English in school. But primarily, those learnings are limited to writings and spellings. There's very little conversationals. Even the programs that we watch on TV at home will primarily will still be in Mandarin or Bahasa. So the environment that was growing up with primarily are surrounded by pretty much these mother tongue languages, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then when did it start that that you start to really master the English language, that you really went into that?
I think from the written language wise, we started to we have to pick up English, and we went to tutorial class for written English. I remember in Form 5 that we start to enroll in 999, that's 1119 English.
Yeah.
I remember at that time. And we are picking up a lot of the written, the grammar, the vocabulary, and the hearing, all that. But it's still very limited to written English at that time. So I think I got a C4 for 1119 English at that time, and throughout a Chinese school, that considered to be good, right? Because we didn't grow up in that environment of a lot of exposure to English literature and readings for that. So, and once that we got into university, we find that a lot of people at my age at that time still couldn't speak a very fluent English at that time. It was very broken, and that's where I found there's a problem in our educational systems, where we didn't stress enough to communicate English, primarily because our environment doesn't surround us with that kind of stimulations to learn English at that point. So what I was doing is I grabbed hold of a friend who liked to polish up our English, and initially we would just two young folks sitting together and just speak English, right? And it was really terrible and broken. And a lot of time we would stop by because we didn't know what vocabulary to use. And we realized also a lot of the grammar errors that we did when we were speaking. But because of that sessions, we correct each other. We spend almost like an hour every day in the middle of the night in our student dormitory when everybody starts to get to sleep. And we would just speak up almost about anything, right? And because the English standard between us it's pretty much the same, so we are not embarrassed or we are not intimidated by each other. And that's where I find that through a lot of practice, then you can start to slowly pick up the language. A lot of time when I looked back, learning language is about the habits of using the language and the habits of thinking and enriching. And at the time that when you need to speak English, the vocabulary and the words and the grammar will flow out, right? And in the beginning, you might not get it right, that's fine. But with a lot of courage and with a lot of practice, that's where you start to perfect the language and master the language itself.
So at what point of time do you feel that you really got the hang of it? How long did it take you?
I haven't really got the hang of it until now, right? I still make mistakes sometimes. And sometimes when I do listen to other people speak, I'll say, wouldn't it be better if you were to do it the other way around? So that's the fun of the language, right? Even in Mandarin, a lot of time, which is my mother tongue, I consider my mother tongue, right? We still find that we make a lot of mistakes. And especially when I'm in Taiwan right now, where people really have a true mastery of the language, right? They do correct me from time to time, say, hey, that's not the way to say it in Mandarin. And I would do the same when it comes to English, right? I say, wouldn't it be better, for example, when they say, oh, we Taiwanese people, I say, no, just say Taiwanese, right? So these are the a few ways that we can still improve the language time to time. And one of the way I would say is to really master the language is to listen how to the natives are speaking. And when I was in university, every night I would just tune on to BBC radio. Now at that time BBC radio was available. And in the mid-90s, there were not a lot of options as youngsters today do, right? You don't have internet. So what we have is just TV programs and also the radio. So I just tune to the radio and listen to BBC News every day. And from there, you will notice how the British are speaking. And from there, you will pick up as well the kind of language, the sentence structures, the vocabulary that they're using in their newscasting. So I find that is one of the ways that really helped to improve and enrich the language that you'll be speaking.
Oh, that's a very good tip. Actually, listening to the radio. Actually, I also want to implement this technique also, but maybe in a reverse way. For me, I don't speak Mandarin well, and I struggled so many years until today. And I found it's so important for me to learn Mandarin, especially at work, where we deal with people in China, and there are still some people who don't speak much of English. So I think this tip is very useful, that I, use the Chinese radio channel to learn, or Chinese media to learn English, learn Mandarin. Yeah. So
how do you find it? How do you find the process?
Actually, it's a commitment. I at this moment, I didn't really put much commitment into it. I guess my commitment is just maybe during the initial stage when I put myself into it, but it has to be consistent. I really understand when you say that, you go through this during university and you continuously do it. And how long was your consistency of, speaking English to your I think your course mate, right? Your university mate. Do you really consistently do it all the time?
Oh, it was half a year where we sit down every night, right, and do the conversation, just talking about everything from daily lives to schoolwork to our friends and all that. It was consistently about half a year that we do it every night for about an hour, just speaking English and correcting each other, right, in that process. And then we enroll ourselves to what we call the accelerated learning program, where we force ourselves into Toastmasters because we want to engulf ourselves in English speaking environment. And also we find that it will help because in Toastmaster it's designed for you to prepare your speeches. And the most important thing that we got from that is the evaluation, where we get feedbacks into how we are doing in terms of using the language, in terms of our presentations, in terms of the commitment that we have, right? So it kind of push you through that learning process where you have no other options but to force yourselves to do the assignments, to speak in front of others. And when you are put into that spotlight, you want to make sure that the language you use is near perfection to the ability that you can offer, right? And it is a learning environment where a lot of people understand our background, that you don't come from our first language, so they would give you suggestions as of how you can improve. And because in that environment you got a lot more exposure to conversational English, so I find that it's really helpful. And from there on, you get more and more exposure with exchange programs to other clubs, and also you get involved into other activities where you give seminars, talks, help out in those activities as well. And that's where the exposures comes in.
That's true. And when you first started in Toastmasters, right? When you are asked to do assignment speeches, how was the experience like? How much effort that you had to make, in order to even make your first speech? How was your first speech experience like?
It was a lot of pain, I would say, a lot of research. The good thing is about Toastmaster is they assigned a mentor to you, right? For you to help out, for you to get started. And what was good about it is my first speech, pretty much I have a script written out for it. And we practice in front of my friend and also my mentor, and she gets to correct a few of the script, and you have to practice over and over again, right? But pretty much the moment that I got onto the podium, I was pretty much reading out from the scripts as well. So but that is fine, right? That is the first step you have to take. And I think it was a bold step, to really to really step up to the podium and present and speak English to the entire audience. So I would say the experience was really nerve-wracking, but in a way it also helped a lot to boost up the confidence, and the encouragement that we received after that speech was really helpful.